appreciate everybody coming on here. The person in the bottom right, Catholic National Athletic Association, is that's Justin Peterson. You probably know him. If you don't know him, he handles the back end part of our world. Before we get going, we probably should do roll call just in case people don't know each other, but you might. But I think it'd probably be good to just say hello and we can kind of move forward from there. As I'm looking at the Brady Bunch screen, we can go. I'll go Todd. Go ahead, Todd.
Todd Borowski, Chaminade.
Carlos.
Do my thing. Carlos Arriaga, St. Joe's, Notre Dame, in Alameda, California.
Jolene.
She's muted.
Yeah, I know. All right.
I think you have the power, Leo. You can unmute anybody.
Mute her.
I'm not trying. I don't want to mute her.
No, unmute.
You can unmute her.
I haven't muted anybody.
She muted herself.
Top
Yeah.
right
Anyways, I can't do it because
top right corner.
Justin's the one controlling this meeting actually, but I'll try it again. I'll text her. So Jolene represents the Western Catholic Athletic League. She's the commissioner. I think there's 9 schools. I think so. Catholic schools. Hey, Justin, if you can hear that, see if you can unmute Jolene. Joel is muted as well.
He's muted, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why. I'm not muting
There he
him.
is.
There he is, unmuted. There we go.
Joel Sabatka from Valley Catholic in Beaverton, Oregon.
Eric Wood.
Bishop Montgomery, hello.
Mike Watson.
Hi, guys. Mike Watson, De La Salle Collegiate in Michigan.
Cool. So I think actually it would be appropriate, just so you know, this is a part of a series that we're going to start to try to launch, maybe weekly. I shouldn't say maybe, most likely one a week, but I think given topics, given timing of life, and what we can't do for the next 2 to 3 months, I have a suspicion we'll be doing 2 a week, having different people from around the country lead and do different topics. And we can talk about that. This is being recorded. So Todd, you need to be on your best behavior because you never know. I guess you could do remote confession, technically speaking, on Zoom, anything bad. But basically, thanks for coming on. I wanted to kind of get a national look and just kind of, Justin's plan is to record this, push it out to about 400 or 500 people that have actively replied back to our emails, and then just try to create some sort of programming. Ultimately, we knew that we weren't going to be able to get to Atlanta in that summer retreat. Our end goal in the short term, Jolene, here? Jolene, good?
She's connecting.
All right. Ultimately, the end goal is to create a virtual retreat for the June dates, knowing that we can't go anywhere, and then trying to do a physical retreat. And I guess I could have told you a week ago, maybe it would have been great to do in August, but who knows when that's going to be, right? At this point in time, it could be any time. So big picture is a couple topics a week. We probably would kick off and start off with the topics that we've already done and led by different people the last couple of years, just to make it simple. And then maybe take some topics of people that kind of come to the forefront to run. Again, I think everyone needs connection. Everyone needs to try to get better somehow. And that's kind of the goal, is to, always was the goal, right? To help each other become the best we can be. And this just happens to be a little bit unforeseen, unprecedented, unknown circumstances. So we're trying to adapt and give everyone a chance. So I think it'd be appropriate if, honestly, we just start with prayer. And I guess I could lead it since technically I'm leading this meeting. So in the name of Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Amen. Just like to take a moment of silence to gather and think about all our blessings that we received. Pray for our student athletes and our coaches that we all influence and that we lead on a daily basis. Pray for everyone's safety and wellness given this time of the pandemic. We take a moment of silence to pause for those who are in need of, who have been affected by the current crisis. They're in need of special prayers. And we ask this, we pray for those and for those intentions that we hold in our hearts. If we can just say, and our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us
This day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. So I guess that in itself is another topic. I don't know. I'm going to go to it, but like, how do we pray via Zoom with our teams and coaches? That came up yesterday in one of my meetings. But moving into this conversation, I wanted to kind of address really what it came down to is, what is everyone doing as athletic administrators, the conversations we're having that we all know we've had to have the last 2 weeks. Some states are different than others. Some people are able to do different things than others with technology and location. Really just wanted to put out there, what are athletic administrators at Catholic schools doing during this COVID situation, kind of getting an update. I imagine, I don't know where Oregon's at. Actually, I was on the phone with Central Catholic yesterday. I imagine everyone on this call is officially done for the spring, correct?
We haven't made the official call from the OSAA. Washington just did on Monday. They canceled school for the rest of the year and then canceled all sports. But I wouldn't think we're far behind. They have another meeting on Monday, and I think they're just waiting on the governor, who her last closure was through the 28th of February. But I think they're just starting the mandated public schools online distance learning starts this coming Monday. They were last week sent out a message and said everybody needs to prepare for distance learning, where I think we've been doing it for almost 3 weeks now, but the public schools are mandated to start that on Monday. And I think that once that rolls out, I think then she might say, like Washington, hey, we're done with school through June. And the OSA would follow suit and say all, sports are canceled.
Is Michigan done? I imagine. Mike?
Yeah, we are done. The governor just shut down public schools about a week ago. And as far as public education goes, we are continuing with online education, as most Catholic schools are here in Michigan, private schools. Here in Michigan, we can issue credit for that coursework that kids are completing right now in the private schools. The public school kids cannot. So although they're receiving packets and doing review, most of the public schools who do have connectivity with their kids are doing that. But they can't introduce new curriculum. So part of the conversation right now is how the kids matriculate to the next grade, what happens with seniors, all the same things that are going on in all the other states. But as of right now, public education is done. We end with seniors on May 15th and all students on May 22nd.
And I guess from a different perspective, Connecticut, Kevin, are you guys similar?
Yeah, we're still like, I think like most people are optimistic. We've looked at a lot of different angles. If we do go back, but we're 45 minutes an hour outside of New York. Fairfield County, the county we're in, is abuts Westchester County, so we're sort of in a major hotspot, and it's obviously been growing in Connecticut. So our governor, I was actually just on a meeting before this with our CIAC executive director and our league. Great conversation, but our governor's probably going to make an announcement tomorrow or Friday, it seems, on whether schools were closed. We've been online, with direct teaching with Google Hangouts for 4 weeks, 3.5 weeks. It'll be 4 weeks the end of this week. So we really haven't missed a beat that way, where most of the public schools, it sounds similar to Mike, have been more just posting, to Google Classroom, where we've had live interactions. So we haven't really lost anything. So our grades and everything will be maintained. But we should have some answers hopefully by the end of this week. But our state association and our league, we've been really proactive that if there is any hope when we go back, what could June look like in terms of, some mini tournaments at the end of June, to do some, 2-3 weeks of practice, some light scrimmages, and maybe do like a 3-day tournament for most of the sports in the spring season. But as most of us know, that's probably 90 to 95% highly doubtful. But we're trying to be optimistic, keep our kids, parents positive, So we'll probably have a little more direction by tomorrow.
Right. So I think we can shift this. California, we all understand what's going on. We're just done. So I think we could shift this to what are athletic administrators doing right now? You know what I mean? How are you feeling, I guess, you know what I mean? And how are you, and any thoughts on, obviously everything from effective use of time to how are you wrapping up the spring? I can speak to, I'll just lead it off with some things like with our spring coaches. First of all, I've had every 2 days, every other day, we just have a standing hour happy hour, at 4 o'clock. Part of it is to keep up the spirits. Part of it is just so fluid that every day seems like there's been a change the last 2-3 weeks. Everything from adding action items to like, what are the spring coaches doing to the seniors? How are they communicating? What are the people doing with the underclassmen right now and workouts? So we're meeting 2 times a week, but I think we'll be down to once a week because now that the finality of spring is over, some of the same topics. So, I think I just kind of want to put that out to you. I'll just lead with this or end with this on my comment on my part is on Saturday and Sunday was the first time I didn't touch my laptop because I was officially pissed off because spring sports were canceled. So to that optimistic faith-based education plan, I was hoping we could come back, for something, even like a jamboree for volleyball, but the reality hit me. And so I think this week has changed. So emotionally, I might shave. Maybe that might be something to keep past the time. But other than that, I think I've had a roller coaster. So I'm just, I'll go into more depth, but I don't want to hog the meeting or the call. So I just kind of want to throw that out as like, how are athletic administrators? What are they doing? How are you doing it? Any suggestions to just keep yourself going in these times? The floor is open, really, to anybody.
I'll speak. I mean, it's kind of been similar, Leo, in that been kind of up and down around how and what to attack first. I mean, I think that's been the biggest thing, trying to make sure everything on the home front here with the family is in place. I mean, that's probably been, for me, I know it's not work related, but it's been the hardest thing, is just being able to juggle, kid at home and everyone sit in their place. So I'm just starting to get our bearings back over the past week to kind of become a little bit more productive. Now the question is what do we do? And so we've been in conversations with the end of the year and recognition. Seniors, one of the things we're doing with our seniors, since senior nights is always a big night, is we've asked all of the, coaches and to ask their kids to submit a photo of them and their family. And we will recognize them when we get back from Easter break sometime in May. And so hopefully we get all the seniors and we'll be able to share in that family photo. We asked them to, include something of their school apparel or uniform if they have it, and any other props they might have that's representing their sport. So that's one of the things we're doing immediately. We're having conversation around trying to figure out what we're going to do for signing ceremony, what that's going to look like, and then an end of the year awards banquet. And we're still in the conversation trying to figure that out. So, and then planning for next year. So starting to look at schedules for next year.
Yeah, we're doing all scheduling. I'm going to try to get all schedules done for the entire year. One of our biggest concerns is, I was talking to Carlos earlier, is return of uniforms. Are we going to disinfect every single uniform that comes in, send them out to be washed or whatever? Those are things we want to talk about. And the biggest one for us right now are senior athletes. How do we honor them properly? And I'm hoping this group has some good ideas.
One of the things that we're doing, Todd, is I sent an email out to all my coaches and gave them 5 questions for the seniors. And then we're getting those responses back with some pictures. And we're going to be posting it on our website, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And we're going to recognize 1 athlete per day. Looks like right now we have about 25 seniors. So it'll be about 25 days of individual recognition for each of the spring sports seniors.
All
What
right.
are those questions, Eric? Can you share those with the group in the chat, maybe?
Yeah, I have to go back and
You
look
don't have
at
to do
it.
this split second. Yeah, you don't have to do this split second. We can get it out too.
Basically, it's your favorite memory as an athlete, and then who would you like to thank, like parents or coaches or things like that. It's kind of like we do a senior speech during the pregame for seniors, and it's basically taking those types of questions and putting it in there. And then the last one is, where are you going to go to school? Kind of recognizing where they're going to go, and then having a few pictures, and then a comment or two from the coach about the athlete. So it's really simple, but it's, it's short, but it does put some celebration on for the kid. One of the other things, because I've been getting a lot of questions, are we going to be paying our coaches the full spring stipend? And a couple things we're doing to recognize for that is, and the way I've justified it to my principal, I don't know how he's going to do it, but what I've done is I've told him my coaches are interacting with the athletes each week. They're giving them workout plans, sport specific types of objectives. I've got a couple coaches that are giving weekly challenges to the team. So one kid will do something and they'll challenge another one, and that'll go through on the social media. Then the other thing that I'm doing is I've sent to all of my coaches, the NFHS has the free classes for coaches. So I'm having them do like the sportsmanship, the anti-bullying. There's about 5 or 6. And I just sent that to each of the coaches. And I said, take the class, get a certificate. That way I can say, hey, these coaches are still being active. They're still working. They started in February. Some of them even before that. These sports are year round, a lot of them. And so these coaches are getting paid for, they're probably putting in 100 hours and getting paid less than $1 an hour. So to me, it's justifying that they should be able to get the full stipends. And I've heard the whole gamut of what's been happening with that. It's been, it's hard because, like you, Leo, we were hoping to have, some kind of a culmination, maybe like a 3-day tournament, and that kind of got blown out the window this weekend. And then we met as an association, and everyone's kind of plugging forward, looking forward into next year already. So it definitely some challenges, and just trying to stay positive. What I've been doing personally is I've been sending text messages to my friends and saying, hi, how are you guys holding up? Thinking about you guys. I have a secret waterfall that I go hiking to that nobody knows about. And then, so what I've done is I taped that and I sent it out to people. Like Carlos and Leo are both laughing because they've got that waterfall stream. And it's just absolutely an amazing, just listening to that waterfall just reminds you of how beautiful nature is and how blessed we are, and God is great. Sorry, I'm hogging up a lot of time, so I'll shut up.
That was interesting about the
Eric,
coaches pay. I was going to say our coaches, they decided right away that we were unique. We have a preschool through a high school on campus, and all the preschool employees and a lot of the elementary school teachers are hourly. So that was their number one priority, was to try to pay them, which was, disappointing, but they paid our coaches through March. But that was all that I went in and fought with our CFO and president, and basically all they would do. But I love those ideas. I've been trying to just continue to email our coaches. They're pretty bummed. There's still kind of a little bit of hope, but I think everybody realizes it's going to get shut down here pretty soon. But one idea I have is I have a first-year softball coach. It's the first time she's been a head coach, and a first-year head baseball coach. But I think for any coach, it's kind of a fun idea. Is I've been enjoying watching a lot of the classic games that have been on the NCAA tournament. I mean, even last night I was watching Mike Tyson fights from back in the day, like 1988. But for any young coach, I think it's a great opportunity to kind of sit back and watch a game, just any game, baseball, softball, doesn't matter, and develop what you might do for situations. Get those now. Like you're watching a game and it's, tied with 2 minutes to go, and you hit pause on the TV and say, what would I do here? What would I run? What's the play I would do? What would I do in baseball here? What's the situation? How would I handle this? And try to document that and get that into your culture and what your belief system is as a coach, so that maybe a totally random situation comes up and you may have not seen that before, especially for a brand new coach. And it just kind of maybe give them something to do while they're sitting around and think about those game type situations, and maybe kind of develop a philosophy that they're going to stick to. And it can always change, but at least it gives them something to think about if they're sitting around watching games. I've always found that to be kind of helpful for me as a coach too.
Here in Michigan, we're kind of doing a lot of the same things that Eric is doing. We're lucky enough to have somebody working with us in sports information on a part-time basis, and to kind of justify what they're doing and some of the pay that they're getting, as we're working on senior spotlight graphics in social media, very similar to a lot of schools. We have over 100 senior athletes, so we're collecting information through a Google form, doing that senior spotlight here in the next coming weeks. We've also established after Holy Week here some days of the week in which we'll meet with students in general. For example, on Mondays and Thursdays, we'll meet with kids in general sessions. It could be leadership things, it could be mental game training, it could be nutrition, strength and conditioning. We'll have a variety of speakers that come from our coaching staff, our strength and conditioning staff. And then on Tuesdays, will be professional development with our coaches. So all these things are like 30 minutes, 45 minutes tops, where we can get some things done. But, similarly, we're trying to get all of our scheduling done and have no excuse for being unprepared going into next fall, and work on the things that we don't get a chance as a department to work on. So it could be doing some of the handbook revision work. It could be developing our coaches retreat that would be in late summer, very early fall. It could be just reviewing some of the coaches education things that we'd like to accomplish as a coaching staff, whether it be through the National Federation, whether it be through proactive coaching, whatever the case is. There's a lot of those organizations that are allowing for a short amount of time, a trial period or an evaluation period. We're going to take advantage of those things to evaluate programs that we think that we like that could do a nice job in our school. So as a school, what we're doing right now is we split our entire student body up so that every faculty member and staff member has about 10 kids that they check on every week. So we'll email them a couple times a week and reach out to them on the phone once a week. Usually for me, it's on Fridays, and I'll call my kids, see how they're doing, how they're adjusting, how the work is going, whether it's too much, too little, what things they're having challenges with. And similarly, I'm going to tell them the same things that I'm having challenges with, whether it be creating a routine or understanding how to go into next year, and just give them those few kids that I have an insight into what I'm doing.
I think, Kevin, you had some comments a while back.
Yeah, just two things. To the point we were talking about, and Joel talking about spring stipends. Obviously, I'm sure across the country, everyone starts at different time points. So I think California, you guys we never actually officially started spring season, not even pitchers and catchers. So it's a big conversation at our league level. So what we're doing, and it might, I would love if we could get maybe just a Google Doc, or I could set something up. We're doing it in our league, is getting obviously a survey for our direct league. We're only one of two parochial high schools in a large public high school league in our area, which is most of the cases in our state. But to get surveys from different leagues of what they're doing with spring stipends, I'd love to hear what everyone else in this group's doing at a league and a state level with stipends, public and private. I think that would really help all of us as we're working with our presidents to make decisions. Our superintendents are all looking at it district to district as well too, and it's the whole gamut. Some are 50% will pay, some are looking at it on varsity versus JV, some are looking at full pay, and then really building proposals to be like, yes, coaches do a lot of work out of season with preseason prep. What are you doing for virtual trainings right now? So our coaches are working with our athletes intimately with virtual trainings, maintaining their workouts. So I'd love if maybe we could do some type of survey, just see what people are doing across the country with spring stipends. That would be great. And just sort of one of the things that's been successful for us, got a lot of good people, is sort of maintaining that healthy mind, healthy body, all the online teaching. Our health and wellness director, who is also our full-time strength coach, has done a great job with posting weekly videos for continuous, personal workouts at home, along with obviously what their team workouts at home. They can continue on individually at their home spots, and also sharing what some of the kids are doing for their workouts. So we've posted some videos, but that's been great for us from a health and wellness perspective, is really posting that stuff and making sure our kids are still getting those workouts and support to be continuing this as we know it's trying for them, missing out on their seasons right now. So.
Yeah, as far as spring sports stipends, the one thing we got to be aware of is if we have a lot of walk-on coaches, a lot of them have already filed for unemployment. So our CFO doesn't want to pay them whole if they're already getting money already. So I think we're paying them up to April 15th, and then we're going to figure out if they're collecting unemployment, then we're not going to make them whole. If they're not collecting unemployment, I think we're going to make them whole. So the unemployment thing is a big thing, because they can end up making more money than if they didn't have this pandemic.
And I asked the group what, along the same lines or similar lines, what are you guys doing for those who have athletic trainers, your athletic training staff?
Our athletic training is basically, we're trying to get everybody busy so we can justify them staying employed, basically. So we're making phone calls 2-3 times a week to our parents. And we set aside, like, my assistant, our trainer, or some other staff, and they're making phone calls, just checking in. How are you doing? What can we do to help, and stuff like that.
Jolene, you represent a multiple amount of Catholic schools, so I imagine you're probably hearing different things. Are anything in addition, other than some of those ideas or thoughts? Because I know that you talked to co-ed, all boys, all girls school. You have the gamut.
Yeah. First off, hello. Sorry about my audio troubles earlier. There's 3 different Zoom calls going on at my house right now, and so all the Bluetooth was not going well. So I'm meeting with my ADs on Zoom every Monday, and so it's been kind of neat to kind of see how the different campuses. As you guys know, I have 9 schools across the Bay Area, and we're kind of an interesting place because all my South-based schools are closed through the end of the school year. My San Francisco schools are closed till May 4th. We're pretty sure the Archdiocese of San Francisco is going to come out in the next week or so, probably after Holy Week, and say that they're closed through the end of the year as well. But so even in that, it's kind of interesting to watch in our league, because you have half the schools that, parents and stuff feel like they're coming back and there's hope and stuff, even though we know they're probably not coming back. And so trying to find that way. We talk a lot. The things we've talked about yesterday was uniform equipment. So like what you were saying, Todd, our schools are talking about putting big trash bins out in the parking lots. So they're talking to their city officials to make sure that's okay. But same thing, putting them in big trash bins, covering them, and then once given the opportunity, they'll get them all cleaned. I think that's going to kind of be the thing, and say like, okay, well, especially I can't remember who's in here, but mainly seniors, because I think there's, especially in like lacrosse, there's a lot of equipment out there that if we don't get collected could be quite costly for the schools involved. So we talked about uniform equipment, how to best do that. Letter of intent, athlete of the year. I don't know how many of your schools do overall athlete awards in May. And so I think after yesterday, kind of the consensus was vacating the senior of the year award and athlete of the year if it was a senior eligible. And then what they're doing is they're going to do senior highlights. So I don't know if you look at Archbishop Mitty's Twitter, they just did theirs. As a baseball player, he probably would have been athlete of the year. He was supposed to have a great baseball career this time, but they can't make him athlete of the year because he didn't play, kind of thing. So they're trying to highlight those that would have been candidates for athlete of the year. The other one, I don't know how many of you guys got all of your winter team banquets. So we talk a lot about spring, but some of my basketball teams were still playing, and so we didn't even finish winter team banquets. So how do you do that? Summer camps, obviously figuring out that's a source of revenue for our schools. And then senior days was the big one. Hold on, sorry. Yes, can you sit back down? Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We're zooming.
Yeah, sorry, senior days. So what we're gonna do is each school is going to do, like you guys are talking about, is have a social media thing. Some of them with swimming and track, you take a school like St. Francis, they figured out they have 110 seniors. So we can't do, you know, again, because of the big team sports, you can't do every that. So I think for team sports, they're doing more of like the roster and that kind of thing. And then once every school does theirs at the end of May, they're all submitting those pictures to me, and we're going to do a league-wide. Again, we're in a league of all Catholic schools, so I can do this, but we are going to have a league-wide senior celebration. And we're just asking every kid to take their iPhone or their phone, take a picture of themselves in their uniform and submit it. I have a Dropbox file because we went back and forth between what files everybody have, and then it's like, okay, well, our kids all have their uniforms, so put your uniform on, take a picture, send it to us. Kind of thing. And then just a lot of the same stuff you guys are talking about. Lots of, there's Google Docs that our league is sharing between schools. And then the one cool thing, I think I heard somebody talk about strength and conditioning, is at one of my schools, they're actually having a coaches challenge. And so the AD puts out in the morning, hey, this is, you know, it's all stuff free weight. Like you don't have to have a workout facility at your house, and then they all like send it back at the end of the night. And so a couple of my schools, and then they open it up. So there's a couple of my schools that all the coaches. So now we've kind of done the league-wide coaches, but just the whole thing. I don't know if you guys follow the Inside Out, but the whole thing about, it's not just communication, it's about connection. And so how we don't just communicate, we just don't give stuff out versus how do we connect? So lots of stuff.
Yeah, I was just on the challenge stuff, you know, as we're talking about coping. Mm-hmm. We are, I know my cross country coach, like I said, he was on the phone with Central Catholic. The track world is doing some sort of like combined 1,600-mile relays, like where kids are going on the honor system. Like, hey, I ran my mile, here's my time, or here's my 100-yard, my 100-meter dash. And they're like combining and competing against schools. You might want to ask your track coaches if they've got on that, because I know that, you know, it's just something to, you know, have people do, especially with running. You can do the GPS, you can do all the different things. I know that inner department for De La Salle, we talked about it yesterday, is like, we're going to start doing things like push-up challenges between the football team, the golf team, and maybe get the one kid, you know, we're going to start to do something, I think May, because right now the hurt is still kind of there, you know, for a lot of the coaches. So everything from like pull-ups to probably like stupid things like treading water, food eating competitions. And we're kind of do like an Olympics of De La Salle, you know, just to kind of have kids see each other. You know what I mean? We haven't figured it all out yet, but I think there's something to be said about the Catholic schools also potentially like working together to do different things. So kind of keep that in. The one app my volleyball coach uses is called Goose Chase. She keeps talking about it. I honestly haven't looked about it, but it's like this thing where you can actually do virtual competitions, and it's a company that sets it up. So I can compete against, you know, St. Joseph's and Alameda and Connecticut in something, whatever they have. They have like, I don't know, like scavenger hunts and stuff like that. I think, you know, I mean, there's always esports, right? That's still there too. I mean, some schools are better than others. So we've talked about maybe it's time to really ramp up our esports. I know Bishop Montgomery, I think they were state champions or something. They got like 4 classrooms dedicated to esports. But I think these are things that, I mean, everything that we're hearing right now, hopefully it's helping. It's really solid right now, the ideas we got going.
Can I throw one more out?
Yeah, sure.
So, I mean, I forgot the other one I wrote down is, the other one is, if you think about it, most people across America are all at home. So the other thing that some of my schools are doing is reaching out to college and professional athletes, and they've had great response. And so they're doing Zoom calls with professional golfers and this spring, right? Professional men's volleyball. And these people are all at home. They have nothing to do. And so they've had really good response. So I encourage you guys to do something like that as well. Baseball players, there's a lot of MLB guys that have been talking with our schools and stuff. It's been cool for the kids to see.
From a social side, we rolled out, I don't know if you want to call it 14 days of motivation, but if you go on there, we went out to like our what we would consider influential alum, not necessarily pro athletes, but like, you know, and so we launched one a day, and I think we're at 2,000 or 3,000 views per, so we know people are watching it. We're gonna, like, that's a great idea, Jolene. Maybe, and I put this in the text earlier, it would be awesome, and maybe we do this, maybe we host separate Catholic National Athletic Association. If you have, like, you know, for example, Jason Kidd of St. Joseph's Notre Dame, and he's like, if you have a good relationship with somebody, maybe we put that on there for Catholic National Athletic Association, for maybe athletic administrators. I mean, let's start to brainstorm on ways that we can also feed administrators and coaches too, not just the student athletes. So I think it's, again, the purpose of this meeting is to kind of get a national sense and then get some ideas and move forward, because understandably, we all know it's not going to be like a 2-week deal. You know what I mean? So as we plan things out, this can also roll into our virtual retreats, because I think for us, we're all busy. I think the vision Justin and I have, we're probably 1 or 2 like in-person national retreats a year, and probably 2 virtual retreats that simulate like this, and probably monthly calls. So I think even as we talked and we met last January, things have already changed to where this organization is going to be different. You know what I mean? Just because ideas have come to the forefront, and now we can continue this national connectivity without having to. We all know our budgets are going to be very interesting the next 2 to 3 years, right? Who knows where we're going to be? So hopefully this is kind of a launching point to us continuing working together to help each other be the best we can be. You know, and I do appreciate that. It's mindful of time. It's 9:40, and I'll wrap this up. Justin's listening. He's going to send this out. We don't exactly know how. We'll send you a copy of it to take a look, and then we're going to send it out to the other ADs. We could probably, to your point, Kevin, put those survey questions, and we'll kind of massage some different things and get one email out. Ultimately, if we could, you know, I think Inside Out and NIAAA is doing one at 9 o'clock I don't really know. There's a lot of different things going on. So trying to find a good time is probably, again, it's ironic. It's probably never a perfect time, right, for everyone across the world. But I think if we can keep our group Wednesday at 9, we can always morph the topics and kind of streamline it. Nobody has the wherewithal to be on a Zoom call for 5 hours, right? So if we keep it to like less than an hour, we'll send out invites. And I think from that, Justin and I were probably do, you know, even if it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 9, and there are 3 different topics and people lead, if I can't be on there, you can't be on there, there still might be 20 other people that really want to learn about how to how to install a turf field. You know what I mean? And so there's a lot of different things we're going to do. I think content is huge, but also to Jolene's point, I appreciate the connectivity. I think we got to look to what can we do to make everyone happy mentally and physically as possible. And I think these ideas alone, we're probably all going to go back and share, and probably have 10 or 15 different things to motivate us to help our student athletes and coaches. Are there any like last few thoughts from anyone? I mean, we can stay on as long as we want, but I want to also be mindful of time. So I appreciate everybody, but I think we'll send out an invite. We'll rotate people in. I just went in my phone and just texted some different places, but there's lots of people that want to participate. We were just nervous to get like 40, 50 people, because then it's kind of like too much, you know what I mean, in the beginning.
Right.
And I think some of the topics, it probably would be like a panel discussion, 5 or 6 people, and the rest of everybody's muted, and the rest of the conversations are chat only. You know what I mean? So we'll work it through. I don't have any stock in Zoom, but I probably should look into it. But it's one of those things where I appreciate everybody. These are awesome topics. We're going to do a recap via email of our conversation, just for you and then to everyone else. And then I think even from this, like I'm looking at it, summer camps, budgets, social media. What are you doing? I mean, there's going to be a lot of subtopics that people would love to work on. I'm going to probably reach out to everyone that led a conversation in January or previously, because I think those are automatically easy topics led by different people. Emergency action plans, faith and spirituality, Kevin and the sportsmanship thing, you know, all those things, Mike, and we talked about all boys school stuff, you know, all those things that we can just continue to have. We can just set up almost endless topics, right? And ultimately, even if it's me or it's Jolene and I, it's probably a good 30 minutes, because it's like, oh, thanks, I got to see someone other than my annoying kids and my wife right now. I love my dog. but other than that, like it's a great thing. So the floor is open. We have a few more minutes before we kind of get off the call, but and this guy blowing leaves behind me. But anyways, if anyone got any lasting comments or ending comments on this call, go ahead.
I like the comment about being safe and happy. And I think that's a good follow-up, Leo, for everybody. What are we doing to stay positive, stay happy? What are the things that you do individually? You know, we've got our daily lives at home, which is enough stress for, you know, everyone's got different stressors at home, but then you also mix in the uncertainty at work. You know, with athletics not happening, what are they going to do with athletic directors if we don't have anything to lead? You know, how do we justify what we're doing? And so, and I pray that that doesn't get to that point, but I think on the other side, we have to almost look at that a little bit. So just a couple of things.
I really appreciate, oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, I want to echo that. Like I said, this was the third week we've done our Zoom. Hear adults be able to say, like you were saying, Eric, of, hey, this is hard for me. It allows us all to pray for them and to really be what our communities are about and to bring them back together. So just that part of remembering too, as you're starting off with your coaches, that yes, it's all about business, but also like asking them, like, how is this for you? Because I think, especially in leadership, often everybody expects us to have all the answers. And sometimes you just need to be asked, how are you doing?
I was talking with one of my coaches, and she was just really upset, last week. And it really just hit me because it made me realize, everyone's taking it a little bit different. And this particular coach just really needed a lot of support. And I think we need to be mindful of those coaches who are really struggling, and it's coming at different times. Some people are moving on right away. Others are still kind of mourning that it's the loss of not having the season, because for many of them, might have been an outlet and something that they just love to do. And it was their way to get away from their job and other things that they do. So I think we need to really be mindful of it. I think one of the things I've been trying to balance is, to what extent do we keep the train moving while also trying to, help each other be mentally, present and just, because I've been talking with some other ADs in our league, it seems some of them are like, go, nonstop. And they're just trying to, not pause for a minute to say, hey, what are the real mental health needs that everyone needs right now? So I think that's something that we got to be mindful of, is trying to find that balance between the two.
Guys, one last thing from us. Being in Detroit, we're kind of a hot spot here across the nation as well. Not quite like New York, but southeastern Michigan, where we're at, has seen 80% of the state's COVID-19 cases. And we have a number of families and alums who have been touched by that virus. We've had a young alum's father who passed away. We've had several others who've been infected, including a couple of our coaches. So a big focus for us right now is just focusing on those day-to-day needs that our coaches and families have, and making sure that our immediate families at De La Salle are being taken care of, and that they have the food they need and the resources that they need. So, certainly everything is important, but we sometimes forget that people are suffering from this on a daily basis, and we're trying to take care of those people first, their physical needs that they have. And not everybody is as forthcoming as they would like to be with recognizing that their family's struggling with an illness. And so we're making sure that we're finding those people out and getting them the resources that they need.
Yeah, up here, the OSAA, basically, they're calling this a moratorium-like period, where we have a week in the end of July, the last week in July, where you can have no contact with student athletes. All your facilities are closed. They try to do it just to get kids a break and coaches a break. But so they're calling it moratorium-like, where all facilities are closed. Coaches can still have contact, like checking in on student athletes, but they really didn't want coaches saying, hey, go out to this track and do this workout, because, or go to this golf course and hit golf balls in case something were to happen, if they got sick or anything like that. So I've just been encouraging our coaches to continue to check in with them and, hey, what do they need? And then checking in with our coaches. Like, we've got some young teachers that are coaching because they love to coach, but they're actually coaching because they need that money. And, what can we do? Is there anything we can do in an emergency to help them? One thing I'll share that's helped me a ton. I'm blessed that my wife owns a gift store here in Lake Oswego, right outside of Portland. And so she came up with the idea about, I guess it was last week, someone suggested that she was closed for 2.5 weeks, and she has cards, gifts, she does wrapping and all kind of stuff, but that she do curbside pickup Easter baskets. So she's probably done 75 Easter baskets for kids in the last 5 days. And I've helped her a little bit. And honestly, it's given me some joy thinking about my old Easters and what kids are going to feel like on Easter Sunday. And I think we got to kind of almost go back to that, because Easter's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle a little bit. I feel like that, hey, it's still a joyous time and we need to celebrate that. And kids love that. Parents love that. Everybody may not have family over, but we can still do the kind of some of the Easter traditions,
Any other last comments? And obviously we got a good springboard for the future. Yeah, it's crazy. You know, I still pause right there. It just took me a second to realize we're planning for something way different now. You know what I mean? It's just really, it's crazy. It's not just doing the dribble series, you know what I mean, coach, in basketball. And even then I did 2 virtual practices for my two daughters, spring basketball AAU teams. And even then I was like, what am I really doing this for? Because when the heck are we even coming back and go be a kid? But I think any ways we can help each other and support each other, I think that's why the Catholic community is strong and continue to be strong. So the last thing I'd say to you is maybe we start, and I'm going to put this out there, maybe we start to do a little subsection of head coaches and get our coaches together, you know, and just kind of put an offer up. Maybe we focus on fall and spring because winter's kind of like just on their own little island right now and they're not pressing too hard. Maybe we get some of our coaches, because I know even our coaches probably are like, to Carlos's point, they need probably more than they're telling us too. You know, maybe they would be great. Maybe they don't want to talk to me anymore. They're probably sick of me saying, do the following things. And maybe it'd be great to get some of our coaches by sport and have open calls just to have, hey, talk about what other Catholic schools are doing and how they're planning. And maybe that in itself will be an interesting coping mechanism from people around the area. And they don't, you know, as we all know, coaches are very unique and they don't always go out and find ways to go communicate with others. Everything's worried about like what's in front of them right now and what do they got to take care with their program. But okay, no problem, Carlos. Take care. So maybe we add coaches to our topics. Carlos. Okay. So anyway, so we got a lot of different things. I'll follow up with JP here, and then we'll get some stuff out, and hopefully we can continue this this relationship even when we return to school and life. You know, I think this is going to be great for everybody. So if there's any other than any further comment, thank you. Have a good Holy Week. Go look at a wall on Friday for 3 hours from 12 to 3 like you were taught to.
All right. Thanks, Leo, for setting us up.
Yeah, thank you.
Leo, much appreciated. Good to see everybody.
All right, you guys.
Everyone, take care.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Bye. God bless.